Hi, my name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm a Cavoodle puppy coach and breeder for Noodle Way and River City puppies. As a coach, my philosophy is simple. A Cavoodle should always complement your lifestyle, not complicate it. And this is the foundation to everything I teach. For almost the past decade, I have been working in the breeding, training, grooming, and veterinary sectors of the small animal industry. I've also been raising Cavoodles for the past 16 years, so I have definitely learned a thing or two about the breed along the way. Now this podcast is all about Cavoodles. Raising Cavoodles, training Cavoodles, grooming Cavoodles, breeding Cavoodles, and how to shape the behavior of a Cavoodle puppy. So if you're a Cavoodle parent or you are looking at adding a Cavoodle to your family soon, then this podcast is for you. New episodes will be released each Tuesday morning, and you can follow me across all social media under the name @OodleWay for more tips and advice on Cavoodles. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, welcome back to episode 25 of the Cavoodle Coach podcast. My name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm your host, and I'm so excited to be sitting here with you today. I've been doing some reflection lately, and I just have to say this podcast is one of my most favorite parts of my week. I really enjoy having the opportunity to rant about Cavoodles and share the knowledge that I have, and then what I love just as much is all of the messages I continue to get from people saying how much they love this podcast and how much they're learning. So I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for reaching out to me to let me know that you're loving it. I really appreciate it. And this podcast is becoming really special to me. And I'm so happy it's being received so well. So if you are one of those people who is loving this podcast, I did want to jump in here and just say, please reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is @OodleWay. Let me know that you love the podcast. And if you're feeling extra nice, I would really appreciate if you leave me a 5-star review or even a written review on the podcast. You can go to the top of the podcast page on whatever app you're listening to it on, and there should be a few little buttons there where you can click leave a rating and a review, and I would honestly appreciate that so much. So just wanted to say thank you for all of my listeners and all of the support. You make me feel very special. So in today's episode, I want to talk about of course Cavoodles. I want to talk about Cavoodles, but I want to talk about, I guess, the reality of a Cavoodle, because at the moment I'm raising a Cavoodle puppy. He's 11 weeks now. He's 11 weeks old, and I've had him exclusively on his own for 3 weeks, and I have been stepping 15 families through how to raise their Cavoodles. The puppies are all the same age, and so I've been in communication with these families a lot, hearing what they're struggling with, hearing what they're finding success with, and it's just reminded me very much so that Cavoodles are not easy, not in the way that Google portrays them to be. And I wanted to talk about it because, of course, they can be easy, but there can be some really easy mistakes that families make when they first get their puppy that leads these Cavoodles to be really hard work. And I don't want that to be you, so I'm going to share some information about this now. So the first thing I want to say is Cavoodles have grown in popularity over the past 15 to 20 years, a lot. They are now the most popular breed in Australia, and they have been for a few years now. I believe there's some crazy statistic from last year where Cavoodles make up maybe a fifth of all dogs in Australia. I might be wrong. You can go Google it to make sure, but it was a ridiculous statistic. And it's because they can be just the most beautiful family dog and are so well suited to the city lifestyle, farm lifestyles, coastal lifestyles, really any lifestyle. And whether you are on your own, you have a partner, you have kids, you're elderly, they are so suited to so many different people, which is why they've become so popular. Not to mention they're obviously they look like living teddy bears, so that definitely helps as well. So they've grown in popularity. But when you go out in public, at least this is something I've been noticing over the past, I would say 10 years that I've been working in the small animal industry. When you go out in public, there is a divide happening amongst Cavoodles. And when you talk to people, this divide also becomes clear. And it's a divide between Cavoodles who are calm, affectionate, gentle, versus Cavoodles that are reactive or suffer anxiety. And the reason why this is such an interesting topic for me is I speak to, family members, friends, people I meet on the street. They always say, oh, what do you do for work? I say, oh, I'm a breeder. I breed Cavoodles. Oh, they bark a lot. That's one of the things that I hear all the time. Or, oh, they're really clingy, or you can't leave a house when you have a Cavoodle. And I hear all these people who have these ideas of what this breed is like, and it's because there are a lot of Cavoodles that bark a lot. There are a lot of Cavoodles who are very restrictive on a family and make a family not be able to leave the house. There are a lot of Cavoodles who can be hyperactive and just be such hard work. And then you have the flip side of the Cavoodles who are the ones that Google writes about when they're playful, gentle, family-friendly, calm, low-energy dogs. So what makes this divide? What is the difference between getting a Cavoodle who is reactive and hyper and really hard and difficult to have in your family versus the puppies who are really amazing and the perfect family dog who doesn't require constant play and interaction and constant enrichment? What's the difference there? Look, and I hate to, the truth is, and I hate to break it to you, but the difference is it comes down to the work that the family puts in with the Cavoodle when they're a puppy. And my gosh, if you're listening to this podcast, you'd be like, Tiana, you've said this, you've told us that the early weeks are important. We get it. But I just want to say, do you really realize how important they are? To put it into perspective, if you think of a human baby, you've got years of that early development where you can shape their behaviors and you can properly socialize. I'm going to use dog terms here, properly socialize them, properly expose them, and properly show them how to behave in the household and in public. You have years to shape this behavior. And you read in all of these books about how at different ages with your baby, you expose them to different objects and different sounds and you increase it depending on their age. But you have so much time to do this, right? So there's a lot more room for error or just missed days when you just can't, you're exhausted, you haven't slept all night, and therefore you just can't do it that day because you just need a day off. So there's a lot more room for that with children. But when we look at puppies, they go through the exact same development where it is just as influential on their personality and their demeanor, but this happens in a very, very short period of time. And this period of time is the first few months of their life. So that is such a short amount of time. Half of that time is spent with the breeder, leaving you, the family, with a matter of weeks, at most a couple of months, where you can really make a big impact on your Cavoodle's personality and make sure you shape your puppy into the dream dog that you are wanting. And this is a lot of pressure. This is really hard. And this is even harder to do if you don't even know what to do. So if you don't even know what to expose your puppy to, how to expose them to it to make sure they don't get scared of it, how to react when your puppy starts crying, how to get them toilet trained so then you can give them more access to the house, how you actually teach them to be calm in public and calm when visitors arrive. If you don't know all these things and you haven't educated yourself on how to do all these things when you get your puppy, those early weeks fly by, and by the time you do wrap your head around it, try and get a handle on things, your puppy is too old and they're not as influenced by the activities you do with them as they were when you first bring them home. So the truth is about Cavoodles is they require a lot of early work, just as much as any other breed. Usually we think, a Cavoodle isn't a Kelpie or a Border Collie or an Australian Shepherd. They're not a working breed, so they don't need all that. You don't need to run them so much. You don't need to do as much enrichment with them. And they're not a Mastiff or a Pit Bull, and therefore you don't have to worry so much about aggression, which, by the way, I am such a big advocate that aggression in a dog is not breed specific. It depends on what you do with your puppy. So I hate that that's a preconception about these beautiful breeds of bigger dogs, that they are aggressive. It's just so not true. But people can get a Cavoodle and just think, oh, great, they're supposed to be this calm, low energy, easy breed. I don't have to worry too much. They'll just come into my life. The kids can play with them. We'll do a bit of training here and there. But they're just, they're just a great breed in general. Their whole personality is great, so I don't have to worry too much about what I'm doing. And people get Cavoodles. It kind of feels like a lot of people turn to Cavoodles. This is going to sound so harsh, but as a bit of a cop-out to be like, I want a dog, but I don't want a dog that requires a lot of work, so let's just get a Cavoodle. But Cavoodles, if you don't put in that early work, they do bark. They become very reactive. They get a lot of anxiety. You can't leave the house without them destroying the house. It becomes so restrictive, and they can be just as aggressive as other breeds. It just depends on what you're showing them when they're young. And because they're so prone to anxiety, and because they lack confidence in general as a breed, if you don't build that confidence, and if you don't overcome that anxiety at this young age, as soon as a dog feels frightened, threatened, scared, anxious, they get the rush of adrenaline and they cannot control what they're doing. And that's when they turn to barking. And if the barking isn't enough and that whatever they're being exposed to doesn't stop, they then can turn to aggression. And that's when we get this big divide amongst Cavoodles, where we have the ones that just seem absolutely crazy and hyperactive, and people blame it on the poodle in them rather than just accepting it was the lack of early work they did with their puppy. And then we get the Cavoodles who actually are really well-balanced, calm, collected, in control of their emotions, and actually gentle and attentive to what you tell them to do. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, so maybe this breed is a lot harder than what I might have initially thought, great. That's exactly what I want you to realize. I want everyone to realize that Cavoodles long-term can be such an amazing breed for a family's lifestyle, because once you have raised them correctly and intentionally and made sure they don't have anxiety and they're very confident, and you've shaped their behavior to fit into your home lifestyle, then you can look, a few months down the track, 6 months down the track, a year down the track, multiple years down the track. And this beautiful, beautiful breed is happy to sit by your feet all day while you're working, or they're happy to go out to the coffee shop, or they're happy to go into the office with you at work, or they're happy to go to the beach with you and relax. And they have this beautiful personality. But that's only if you do that early work. That's the only way you get the Cavoodle that everyone raves about versus the Cavoodle that everyone says, oh, why would you want one of those dogs? They yap all the time. Does this make sense what I'm saying? I really hope it does. Now, the problem that arises from all this, it's all well and good to start to understand that Cavoodles are easy long-term only if you put in the work short-term when you first get them. But the problem that happens is people get their little puppies and they don't really know what to do. And because there are so many things that you can read on Google about what to do. Oh, you need to show your puppy all these different objects and sounds and desensitize them and build their confidence and tell them how to do this and shape their behavior and add the socialization. Don't forget the parks, don't forget the people, but don't do it too much. Otherwise, they're going to think everyone wants to say hello to them and they're going to pull on the lead. And you get all this noise, all of this overwhelm. That's exactly what happens. Families get overwhelmed, and overwhelm is the key reason for lack of action. When you're overwhelmed, you don't take action. And when you're overwhelmed and you're busy with work and maybe even kids, and now you have a puppy and you have all of this information that you're supposed to be doing, but none of it really makes sense or doesn't seem achievable, you then get decision fatigue as well. And then that also leads to a lack of action. And what happens then is those early weeks fly by. Your puppy does not get all of this socializing, the desensitizing, the behavior shaping that they need, the emotional regulation skills that they need to learn. And then they turn reactive. They start to bark because they're frustrated, they're bored, they're anxious, they're scared. They start to growl. They get hyperactive on all this energy because it's not being spent up with the proper enrichment they should be receiving each day. And then a family is dealing with a naughty puppy who is up all night, having accidents all through the house. They can't leave the room without the puppy crying hysterically. And it becomes very restrictive on the family's lifestyle. And then they get left with the Cavoodle that they didn't want because they just weren't aware of what to do in those early weeks. Or if they were aware, they didn't have the step-by-step instructions on how to actually execute it with their puppy in a way that's going to actually fit in with the busy lifestyle that everyone has with work and their family. So that's my little rant, my next rant of the week about Cavoodles. They are harder than you think, and they're not guaranteed to be good dogs. They need just as much work as other breeds in those early weeks, and the work that you do with your Cavoodle has to be centered and focused around the anxiety and the lack of confidence that they have so that you can overcome both of those behavioral issues they are prone to so that you can get that really beautiful, easy Cavoodle. And that's why, with all of this said, and the more that I speak to families and the more that I encounter this, that's why I decided to keep a little puppy for my recent litter of Cavoodles, Joey, and that's why I have been filming and recording and documenting what I have been doing every single day with him to turn into a 4-week daily schedule for new Cavoodle parents so they can follow it and they can know that they have given their puppy the best chance at being confident and anxiety-free, and they're not going to have to worry about shuffling through all that overwhelm and that stress of what to do and when to do it. They can just follow this, the decision fatigue disappears, and they can execute it on a normal 9 to 5 workday schedule, and their puppy's going to get everything they need. And let me tell you, when your Cavoodle gets everything they need, they sleep at night for between 10 to 14 hours without waking up. That's what Joey has been doing for 3 weeks now. They don't have any accidents in your house. You can leave them for 5-6 hours and they're calm, relaxed. They play with their toys or they sleep on their bed. They don't have any sort of separation anxiety. And then when you are in their area and you are interacting with your puppy, they are calm, they are attentive, and they're not jumping all over you, nipping your ankles, trying to bite your fingers. They actually listen and respond. And that's because you have communicated with them well and you have given them a routine that actually ticks off all of the enrichment, the socializing, the desensitization, and the behavior shaping they need. And it's just, I've done it for you. So I'm really excited about this 4-week new Cavoodle daily planner that I'm making. I don't know the name of it yet, so you're going to hear me saying a whole bunch of words, but essentially it'll be a 4-week plan where I will tell you every day what to do with your Cavoodle to significantly reduce that anxiety and to really build that confidence so that you are on the divide where you have the good, easy, well-behaved, calm Cavoodle rather than the reactive, hyperactive, really difficult Cavoodle that no one ever wants, and I never want to see a family have, because it's really restrictive and it's so sad for the Cavoodle because they are stressed and they haven't learned how to manage their emotions, and that's really stressful for a dog. So if you're getting a Cavoodle before the end of the year or even next year, I am hoping that this 4-week planner, the goal is to have it out end of October, early November at the latest, and you will be able to follow the exact same routine that I do with Joey. Again, it's a 9 to 5 routine, so Joey spends from 8 till 12 by himself, and then he spends from 1 till 5 by himself every day, and we do everything else outside of those hours. So it's achievable for anyone who's working, and then you can obviously, if you don't work 9 till 5, you can change around the hours to suit your own work hours. That's going to be coming out, in the next month, hopefully 1 to 2 months. So if you're getting a Cavoodle, make sure you reach out to me. Let me know. I will add you onto my list. And those people on my list will get, I will contact first when the planner becomes available, and you'll be the first to know all the details. So you can either send me an email at hello@oodleway.co, or you can send me a DM on Instagram. Again, my Instagram handle is @oodleway. Just DM me and say, hey Tiana, I'm getting my Cavoodle in November. I would love to be on your list to get first access to the planner when it becomes available, and I will add you to that list. And I will just mention that this
daily schedule that I've been following, the 15 families I'm currently working with are all following it as well. They all have different work schedules and it is working for them, and they are getting really great success with all of their puppies. So it's not just something that I'm doing, and I work from home, so it's obviously can be easier. It's that every other family, these 15 families who are shift workers, full-time workers, have kids, they all are doing the schedule and they're all making it work very easily into their lifestyle. So I'm really excited about this. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to wrap up this episode now. I can see I've been speaking for almost 20 minutes. So thank you for listening to this point if you have. And make sure you reach out to me if you're getting a Cavoodle, and I will let you know more information about the planner. And I will see you next week. This has been your Cavoodle coach, Tiana Karamayas. I will see you later.